Welcome back to the channel. And a few days ago, we saw a Dynasty deep dive and got some brand new info as well as some big rumors confirmed in that release. Today, I wanted to discuss protected opponents in college football 26, but more specifically, how you should set these up in your Dynasty to ensure each and every team is playing their biggest rivals year after year. If a team doesn't have a major rival to fill a spot, I will slot in a team that makes the most sense either by regionality or by some recent history in their most recent matchups. This video is for the Power 4 specifically, but be sure to subscribe as we'll be making another one for the G5 here in a few days. I appreciate y'all being here and I hope you enjoyed, and let's jump right in. One more thing before we get all the way into it, I do want to preface since we are keeping the conferences on a default alignment that the game will release with. Of course, as you switch teams around with the realignment settings, things will change drastically, but as we get into the season, I want to release more realignment guides with built-in storylines that will encompass moves and protected rivals. So let me know in the comments below what you all would have changed with any of the protected rivals on my list. The first conference we are going to do is arguably the one with the most rivalries, and that is the Big Ten. Being based pretty exclusively in the Midwest and having the same host of teams for more than a century, it would make sense to see so many rivalries within one conference. But with so many to choose from, it can be difficult to dial into which teams should play every season. There are some obvious ones like the game between Michigan and Ohio State, or even the newer Oregon and Washington rivalry, but let's dive right in and see who will play who in our alignment. So off the top, the first notable thing is Nebraska having two odd lot games, and that is due to the prevalence of their only rivals, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, and their rivalry games. As the Minnesota-Wisconsin game is the most played matchup in Big Ten history, with the others not far behind. Other than those games, there are a ton of historical matchups to look forward to each and every year. Keeping the old Pac-12 teams together was a big priority for me, as they are all nearing in on or have surpassed 75 plus games played against one another. You can switch around the second set of games between the teams if you'd like, but for now, this is what I have. As for the others, they really just got placed based on most matchups, and it all fits very well for this league. As we jump from the Big Ten to their counterpart, the SEC, this doesn't get any easier. With most teams having more than two notable rivals and teams like Florida having a rivalry with nearly every team, it makes it harder to shuffle around those who play who. With the Big Ten, we did a lot based off total games played between the two teams as tiebreakers, but with myself being more familiar with the SEC, I'm choosing to do this off of what I think is a bigger rivalry. I also took a look at some rankings on the internet to be a little less biased, but even then people can differ on what is a bigger rivalry, the Red River Shootout or the Iron Bowl. So you all let me know below your all thoughts on that, but here is my recommendations for the protected rivals for the SEC. Some other notes on this is the issue with only having two protected options. We had to take some liberties, and with Bama and LSU not being protected, some may choose to change that. So there could be a few options and some teams that need to be moved around if you want to do that. Another is that UK got kind of shafted as Tennessee is arguably their biggest football rival. Even if they haven't lived up to the task in recent memory, the games are always fun to watch. So that's a common theme you'll see here throughout the Big Ten and the SEC and maybe some other conferences down the line. There's just not a lot of wiggle room with only two protected rivals. Next up, we have America's Conference in the Big 12. From obvious matchups like Arizona and Arizona State in the Territorial Cup to BYU and Utah, we see a lot of new rivalries being forced down by the leadership of the conference. This makes sense, and some may be included in our list, but this may be the hardest conference to manage since a lot of these teams have rarely ever met with so much realignment going on, and other teams like UCF have little to no history within the team as is. So if you feel the need to change a bunch of these, that is totally understandable, but these are my suggestions for this conference. The one and only team that really doesn't have a ton of interesting matchups here are the Cougars of Houston. You could always have them play Cincinnati or UCF for an ode to the American Conference, but with Cincy having more regionality to West Virginia and a forced rivalry with UCF, we went that way with our alignment. Another is to possibly scrap the BYU Colorado game and add in a game with either Arizona or Arizona State. But with Colorado and BYU in close proximity and them both having standing rivalries with Utah, it felt right to match them up and have them have like a three-team battle between who can win who, similar to what Miami, FSU, and Florida has in their three-team rivalry trophy. And lastly, we have the East Coast Conference of the ACC. With it having an odd number of teams, it was slightly more challenging as well. With the newer faces of the league, we really didn't have many trophies to go around. The ACC also has more prominent rivals outside of the conference than within it, but as it stands now, I am unsure if you can pair teams up to 4 schedules yearly, although you can manually change them each year if you prefer. So teams like Louisville is paired with 2 teams that they may have a little bit of back history with, but not too much, but being rivals in the Big East for a time, it made sense here. NC State is paired with Wake Forest and Duke in real life, but with how limited the trophies were, I couldn't pass up an addition of another one here with Clemson and the addition of the Textile Bowl to play for every season. Another sneaky addition is Virginia and FSU, who haven't been on the same level recently, but do have the Jefferson Epps Trophy to play for, which was interesting to me. I've never heard of it before now. And then we have the old Pac-12 teams and their midway travel buddy across the country in SMU, who get paired as a little throuple in our alignment. All in all, I would recommend the ACC to add a few more trophies, as they have a ton of teams that have a lot of history, even if they have only been in this current alignment for a short time. But with that, those are my recommendations for the protected rivals for the Power 4 conferences for your very first dynasty in college football 26. Let me know what you would change below in the comments, or hit that like button if you agree with this alignment for the most part. Be sure to subscribe, as we will be releasing the group of 5 here in the next few days. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'll catch you all in the next one.